It's the Michael Patrick Leahy Show, broadcasting live from downtown Nashville. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
And welcome back. We welcome to our Newsmaker line a very good friend, an outstanding retired attorney who blogs at the Misrule of Law blog, Mr. Mark Pulliam. Welcome, Mark.
Thanks for having me, Michael.
Well, it's always a delight to have you on because you've got such great insights. And just for our listeners, you practiced law for what, 35 years? How long did you practice law?
30 years, although it seemed like it longer.
It seemed like longer. You were what, an employment law specialist? Was that your specialization?
That was my specialty, but I worked for a large law firm, and we did pretty much everything. So in the course of 30 years, you get exposed to almost every area of law.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm very interested in your analysis of the oral arguments yesterday in the case at the Supreme Court, United States v. Jonathan Skrmetti, our Tennessee Attorney General, the Biden administration, as well as the ACLU and a couple of parents of some kids who want to go through, quote, transgender transition from one gender to the next. They sued the state of Tennessee for the passage of law SB 1 that prohibits certain trans treatment for kids under the age of 18 who want to transition from one sex to another. What was prohibited in the law, admission or use of puberty blockers, hormone therapy, and genital mutilation. The lawsuit didn't address the issue of the genital mutilation prohibition, but rather just the prohibition of puberty blockers and of hormone therapy. It went to district court. District court ruled against Tennessee. The circuit court ruled in favor of Tennessee, reversed the course of the circuit court. It was appealed to the Supreme Court. Oral arguments yesterday. You listened to them. What were your thoughts?
Well, I listened to the whole thing, and it went on for hours. They gave an hour to the ACLU lawyer, and then it seemed like they gave almost an hour to the Solicitor General of the United States, I should say. And then they gave almost the same amount of time to the transgender lawyer representing the ACLU. And then by the time they got around to the state of Tennessee, Matthew Rice, it was a marathon. And my reaction was that I'm just imagining if I was a Tennessee resident who had not gone to law school and I was listening to this oral argument and I was remembering whatever civics I had learned in high school, I would be wondering how it was like a Twilight Zone episode, that you would think that, in front of the Supreme Court, the issue would be people who are challenging a law explaining what specific provision of the Constitution prevents the General Assembly of Tennessee from enacting this legislation. But there really wasn't any reference to specific provisions of the Constitution because we are in equal protection land. And equal protection, which is two words out of the 14th Amendment, has given birth to this huge amorphous body of law that has balancing tests and tiers of scrutiny and this and that. And that's all they talked about for like close to 3 hours. And I was scratching my head. I'm thinking, what happened to the notion that the judicial branch is the least dangerous branch because it exercises neither force nor will but merely judgment, which is what Alexander Hamilton's justification for judicial review was in the Federalist Paper number 78 back before the Constitution was ratified. And you think about it, this law is even-handed. It says whether you're a boy or a girl, if you're under the age of 18 and you want and you think you need to be the opposite gender, you can't do it, even if your parents agree, because of the potential life-altering permanent consequences and the possibility that you might change your mind.
Yeah, that sounds common sense to me, right? I mean,
common sense, and the Tennessee's position was this is not about sex. It's not a law that burdens sex because it applies equally to males and females. But unfortunately, in 2020, Neil Gorsuch, who was one of Trump's first-term appointments to the Supreme Court, opened a Pandora's box in a case called Bostock versus Clayton County, where he wrote a decision that interpreted federal employment law, Title VII, to say that the prohibition of discrimination by employers on the basis of sex also includes sexual orientation, sex identity, transgender status, etc., which completely misreads the literal language of the law, which says discrimination based on sex. And now that this Pandora's box has been opened, everybody is trying to figure out, well, what is that going to do to equal protection jurisprudence? And that's the morass that we're in. Now,
so let me just stop for a moment. I notice Gorsuch did not ask any questions yesterday.
He did not say a word.
What does that tell you?
Like,
I mean, what tea leaves are you reading there?
I think, he wrote Bostock and thought that he was going to get some brownie points for being, a clever textualist or whatever. But what he got was a lot of criticism from the right because he had opened this Pandora's box, and it may be that he's somewhat embarrassed by this, and he's laying low.
That's a tea leaf that would be my tea leaf reading asterisk. What does a tea leaf reading mean, right?
No, I agree with you, though. And one of the people that joined him in 2020 in the Bostock case was Chief Justice Roberts. But Roberts was very clear in his questioning yesterday that he's not on board with overturning SB 1. And so that could motivate Gorsuch to switch sides. If he switched sides and voted with Roberts, I see this as a 6-3 decision to uphold the
Tennessee
law.
Yeah. But let me ask you this question, because we got about 3 minutes on this segment. I listened to the questioning of Matthew Rice, who I thought Matthew Rice did a fabulous job representing the state of Tennessee. Would you agree as a Solicitor General?
Yes. Yeah, he's a former Clarence Thomas clerk. But the trouble is he was harassed and interrupted in a very rude fashion by both Sonia Sotomayor and particularly Ketanji
Brown Jackson. I have problems with the name as well. Yeah, they were rude to him. They were condescending. They were arrogant. Which leads me to my next question. I mean, they asked insane questions, I thought, of him. And it was like you mentioned the Twilight Zone. Yeah. Those two justices are on another planet, it seems to me.
Well, and the fact that they were so wound up about this and willing to be so rude to the Tennessee Solicitor General made me think that behind the scenes they knew that they had the losing hand of cards, and this was their way of getting even, is kind of insult everybody. So it was awful, and the weirdest thing of all, I'll just call her KBJ. To avoid mispronouncing her first name. But she brought up this idea that if the Tennessee law is upheld, and about half the states have laws similar to Tennessee's, that it would be the end of civil rights in America.
It's crazy.
And that it would be going back to Loving versus Virginia and laws prohibiting miscegenation and so forth. And my jaw dropped.
It was crazy.
It was crazy.
This would be something, Mark, that you would expect from someone when at her confirmation hearings, when asked by Senator Blackburn of Tennessee if she could define a woman, said, well, I'm not a biologist, I can't. I mean, that's what you would expect. It's crazy.
Well, what makes you realize is that America has reached this transgender moment, at least certain elite groups. So you have the very, very erudite Solicitor General of the United States spouting this. The judge that enjoined it in Nashville was a Trump appointee.
Well, let's go. We've got to take a break here. When we come back, Mark, I want to talk about the huge success stopping DEI at a corporate level. Robbie Starbuck.
Okay.
He's been spectacular. Back with Mark Pulliam after this.
folks, John Fredericks here for Freedom Alliance. Veterans are still struggling with the wounds of war. They came home with injuries that changed them forever. The flag-burning troublemakers in our streets remind me how fortunate we are to have patriots who served and fought, sacrificed, and never complained. We need to support them through organizations like the Freedom Alliance. It's Military Appreciation Month and time to support those who serve. Freedom Alliance is caring for combat veterans and military families. Combat veterans fought in the worst, most dangerous places on earth. Freedom Alliance takes them to nature's most relaxing locations so they can heal. Freedom Alliance gives injured troops mortgage-free homes, new cars, and all-terrain wheelchairs. For wounded vets, there's nothing like the stability of your own home, the reinsurance of a reliable vehicle, or the independence of a wheelchair that navigates snow, ice, beach, pasture, or most any terrain. Let's fight for those who fought for us. Go to freedomalliance.org/Godzilla and make a monthly gift that will improve the life of a military hero. That's freedomalliance.org/Godzilla. Make a contribution today.
If you're like me, most moms find it difficult to prioritize self-care. Hi, it's Colleen, Program Director at the John Fredericks Media Network. With the demands of programming 13 radio stations, it's easy to forget about the things I should do for myself daily. And that's why I started with our company's Women's Challenge with Native Path Collagen Peptides. It's affordable and convenient care in just 1 scoop a day. There are so many incredible health benefits like bone and joint support, metabolism booster, and hair, skin, and nail improvement. I like to take a moment each day to prioritize myself and indulge in the health-boosting benefits of Native Path Collagen Peptides. I love mixing it up with all the different smoothie recipes, too. Learn more about Native Path Collagen Peptides and read 7 important reasons why you should be taking collagen peptides at getnativepath.com/Godzilla. Prioritize your self-care with Native Path Collagen Peptides. Try it risk-free for as low as $21 today and get free shipping at getnativepath.com/Godzilla.
Target.com. Target.com is an online e-commerce tire retailer. We are here to serve the American public with the best possible customer service, the best pricing, and we make it extremely easy. We have many name brands and a lot of low-cost tires. The price is right, and it's easy. You go online to Target.com, Tireget.com, Target.com. You go there, you put your zip code in, all the inventory displays right in front of you. You can call in for help if you want to. We'll help you get the tire that you need. But we will take the tires you buy and at no extra charge deliver them to the dealer right by your house where they will be installed at the market price. It's easy. The best price, the best service. Great people to deal with. Thank you for going to Target.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Welcome back. Our guest on the Newsmaker line right now, the very great retired attorney, Mark Pulliam. Mark, are you still with us?
I'm still here.
Okay, Mark, let's talk about our good friend Robbie Starbuck. And Robbie, of course, was a producer of music videos in California, moved to Tennessee, ran briefly for Congress in the 5th Congressional District, and then was not allowed to run because he hadn't been here long enough, but then turned his attention in a spectacular way to focusing on ending DEI policies in publicly traded corporations. He started with Tractor Supply, based right here in Brentwood, Tennessee, and boom, he has gone through and built a huge system and capability that has led to the end of public declaration of the end of DEI at about a dozen companies, including the most recent change at Walmart. Your thoughts on this, Mark Pulliam?
Well, you've kind of summed up the arc of his success. Many people probably don't remember anything about Robbie Starbuck other than the fact that he got thrown off the primary ballot in 2022 by the Tennessee Republican Party on the grounds that he was not bona fide. And he took that case to the federal court, took it to the Tennessee Supreme Court and lost, then ran as an independent and lost. And then they thought, okay, well, he's a flash in the pan. But he did not let that defeat define him. And he's a very energetic guy. He's got a podcast. He's very articulate. And he decided to go after corporate America and their zeal for diversity, equity, and inclusion, that whole agenda. And he is very shrewd about it. He figured consumer pressure is the Achilles heel. That's how you can get the attention of retailers. And he started with retailers that have sort of a Bubba customer base.
Right.
So he started with Tractor Supply, and it turns out Tractor Supply, like a lot of companies in America, had caved in to this woke agenda. They were kissing the behind of the Human Rights Campaign, which is a gay group that
HRC, as it's called, Human Rights Campaign. Yeah.
HRC, that they give you a scorecard depending on how woke you are. And a lot of these companies were afraid of getting boycotted by HRC. Now, you wonder, why would Tractor Supply, of all companies, be worried about being boycotted? How many gay farmers are there shopping for farm equipment? But they're so
now, Mark, I'm sure there are some gay farmers, but it's not like they're like an organized group. Hey, there's not a lot of them, I don't think.
So what he did was he kind of identified all of the different respects in which Tractor Supply was crazy woke, and then he basically informed the public and said, what do you think about this, Tractor Supply customers? And of course they said most customers don't pay attention to what's going on in the back offices of a company, and they reacted with appropriate outrage. And so very quickly Tractor Supply agreed, we're going to wash our mouth out with soap. We're never going to do it again. And
I like that phrase.
and we apologize. And so it turns out that was just the beginning of a list. He had a long list. So he sort of went down and said, okay, what's another similarly situated company? John Deere. John Deere sells tractors and lawn equipment to Bubba's. And Bubba's don't like the woke agenda. They probably don't know that John Deere has become woke. Same thing happened there. Then he moved down the list to Harley Davidson and got, why would Harley Davidson be woke? Well, there's no explaining what goes on in the C-suite. People,
tell everybody who may not be familiar with the C-suite of corporations. Tell them what we mean by the C-suite.
Well, that's the executive offices.
Yeah,
this
the
is
top
people
level.
that don't actually interact with customers one-on-one.
Mm-hmm.
They deal with Wall Street analysts and this and that. These advertising agencies and so forth. And so it's easy to believe that your customers won't mind that you've become extremely woke. Well, it turns out Harley Davidson customers are very tribal, very patriotic, and they don't like this stuff. So now Robbie Starbuck was gaining momentum, and so then he continued to go after companies. Lowe's waved the white flag. Coors waved the white flag. Target, which had become very woke with this children's underwear that had you could tuck it. It's really disgusting how far these LGBTQ groups have infiltrated themselves into American retailers. Target backed away. Then he went after Black & Decker, Toyota. But his biggest accomplishment, and it's a remarkable accomplishment, it got written up today in the Wall Street Journal, Walmart. Walmart is not only the biggest retailer in the world, it's the biggest company in the world based on gross sales. And he got Walmart to capitulate and to stop participating in this HRC poll and to reverse many of their so-called DEI-type policies. And he's not done yet. So I have to take tip my hat to Robbie Starbuck. He has done to corporate America what Chris Rufo did to the Ivy Leagues, which is to make DEI toxic and to completely turn the tide in terms of corporate flirtation with these fads. And I just kind of am waiting with bated breath to see what his next target is.
And you think about it, I mean, Robbie has built a system up. What he's really extraordinarily good at is putting together these long-form videos that have a very rapid pace to them and are easy to follow and very interesting. And he puts them out over all of social media. He's got a big, I don't know, he's got like 700,000 followers on X, formerly Twitter. He's got Rumble. He's got YouTube. He's all over the place with social media. And they get out there and they literally do, people say something goes viral. I mean, they go viral. They get millions and millions and millions of views very quickly. And so he's got a good production team. He's got a good sense of how to communicate in kind of a rapid pace, but always interesting. And then he's developed, because of his profile, he's got a whole network of whistleblower types all around the country who feed this information into him. It is a remarkable accomplishment by Robbie Starbuck. Just remarkable.
Remarkable is the only word for it, and it's funny how it used to be talk radio, and I'm not disparaging talk radio, but that was the most influential space.
Used to be,
you
yeah.
had Rush Limbaugh, and then before that you had columnists and bloggers. Newspaper people could be influential. Nobody reads newspapers anymore.
What's a newspaper, Mark? What's a newspaper? I don't know what that is.
Yeah, I know.
Go ahead.
I know. But now everybody's attention, particularly younger people, to YouTubes and videos. And so it's no coincidence.
And TikTok, actually. Yeah.
And Chris Rufo and Robbie Starbuck both had their backgrounds in. Chris Rufo was a documentary filmmaker. Chris Rufo made music videos. Anyway, they're very visually oriented and know how to put ideas very succinctly in the form of these videos that people can watch. And it's just exploded. And it's a medium that either you know how to do it and you're good at it, or you aren't. And he's very, very good at it. And I think Tennesseans ought to applaud Robbie Starbuck. He is not only one of the most effective conservatives in Tennessee, I think he's one of the most effective conservatives in the country.
Yeah, he really is.
And he's just getting started.
Yeah, he really is. And it's just remarkable. It's funny because you look at, I'll put it this way. I think God had another plan for Robbie Starbuck. God's plan wasn't for him to serve in Congress.
He's doing a lot better. He's one of 435 people in Congress.
Yeah.
And then you have to be shuttling back and forth, to Washington D.C. every week. How do you get anything done that way? But he's just setting the world on fire, and we're lucky to have him here in Tennessee. And the idea that the Tennessee Republican Party turned up its nose at him and said, "No, you're not good enough to be on our primary ballot," to me is just the highlight of ridiculousness.
And there's some controversy around that, but as it turns out, it turned out to be great for the country because he does such a great job on this. What's interesting, Mark, you went to a top law school, University of Texas, right? Yeah.
Right.
And I went to a top business school at Stanford Business School. And, in business school, they do case studies, right, all the time. Let me tell you something. The case study that needs to be done by Harvard Business School, Stanford Business School, Wharton School of Business at Penn, how Robbie Starbuck got a dozen Fortune 500 companies to abandon their DEI policies. That needs to be perhaps the most important case study that could be done in years at these business schools.
Yeah, and I'd like to see him now go after Hollywood and Disney.
Oh, Disney.
Yeah.
Beyond awful.
Yeah.
What's interesting, though, I'll also say that it would easily have been a case study done like 30 years ago at one of these business schools when I was in business school. But no, not now. It's not, because the business schools have been taken over by woke corporate types, to be honest, right?
Yeah.
And as a result, they're not paying as much attention to Robbie Starbuck as they should. But you and I, Mark Pulliam, and our listeners are. Mark, it is a delight, as always, to have you on the show. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
All right. When we come back, we'll have more. I'm Michael Patrick Leahy. Back after this. I want to say a few words about our friends at the Nashville Pizza Company, 2176 Hillsborough Road. The Nashville Pizza Company in Franklin reminds us that the current economic times have been tough on many families in our area, and many are finding it hard to make ends meet. Your donations of clothing or canned goods can make a difference for a family in need. During this holiday season, give from the heart so others can have a new start. That's courtesy of our friends at Nashville Pizza Company, 2176 Hillsborough Road in Franklin. They are always working to keep our community moving in a positive direction.
My fellow Americans, my good friends, I've known them for a long time, at D.T. McCall & Sons have the deal of a lifetime for you, and nobody knows deals like I do. That much I can tell you. Nobody knows deals like I do. The lumber yards, they can hit you with hidden charges for up to $200 extra. They'll charge you for cords and hoses and haul-offs. Your money goes all over the place and out of the state, and most importantly, out of your pockets. How do they get away with that? I don't know how they do that, but on day one, if you buy from McCall's, we are going to stop the hidden charges as soon as you buy it. D.T. McCall & Sons has locations in Lebanon, Carthage, Lafayette, Cookeville, and Franklin, and they have been family-owned in Middle Tennessee for over 100 years. Head to one of their stores today or check them out at dtmccalls.com. You're going to love it. Believe me.
Impersonator not endorsed
this
by
summer,
Donald
never
Trump.
leave pets in vehicles while running errands. Even with windows cracked, 80 degrees can shoot up to 120 degrees, causing heat stroke, dehydration, and even death. So keep pets hydrated, shaded in cool areas, or just leave them at home. That's from Kathy, Candy, and the staff at Mutts Cuts Grooming, the people with warm hearts for those with cold noses. For your pet's grooming needs, call 931-645-9220. That's 931-645-9220 for Mutts Cuts Grooming in Clarksville, Tennessee at 1479 Tiny Town Road.
Hey there, this is Lenny McGill, founder and CEO of The Glock Store. As a proud sponsor of this show, you may have heard Michael Patrick Leahy mention us a few times over the past 4 years. But today, it's me on the radio telling you how pleased we are to be associated with Michael Patrick Leahy and his dedication to the highest levels of professional journalism. Michael Patrick Leahy has been threatened with jail time in bringing the true facts about that Nashville Covenant shooting to his listening audience. Michael Patrick Leahy, you keep doing what you're doing, and we here at the Glock Store will keep sponsoring your show for the good of Nashville and the entire country. And I'm personally inviting all of your listeners to come visit and shoot at the Glock Store. It's where Michael Patrick Leahy learned to shoot a gun for the first time and where he bought his own personal Glock 19. I'm Lenny McGill, founder and CEO of the Glock Store here in Nashville, just minutes from the airports, worth the drive from anywhere, and a proud sponsor of Michael Patrick Leahy and the Tennessee Star Report.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Welcome back. Hey, I want to say another word about our friends at the Nashville Pizza Company in Franklin. They're aware that many disadvantaged children will be without this upcoming Christmas unless we all get involved. That's why the Nashville Pizza Company is pleased to be a part of the Someone Cares mission Toys for Joy campaign this year. In this world of unrest, let's hold hands and show children that love still makes the world go round. Our good friends Nashville Pizza Company, located at 2176 Hillsborough Road in Franklin, they are always working to keep our community moving in a positive direction. And by the way, their pizza is great. 2176 Hillsborough Road in Franklin. I've been there. I highly recommend them. Tell them when you go in, Michael Patrick Leahy sent you. Back after that, I'm going to go back there, I think, next week and have a family pizza party at the Nashville Pizza Company. Okay, I want to talk about some Tennessee stories here. A couple of them are of note. Just you saw this in the news. Our friend Tennessee State Senator Ken Yeager, who's the chair of the Republican caucus, was arrested for DUI and a hit and run in Georgia. I think that was a couple days ago. It's unfortunate, and I do think that, Ken, if you're listening, I think the right course of action here is to go into rehab. That's my suggestion, a friendly suggestion to Ken Yeager. And of course, he's 77. He was just elected to head of the caucus in the state Senate. I think there will be some questions about is it time for people to move on that? So that's a point to make there. Also, a couple of other things to note here on state and local news. The Tennessee State University, there's a lawsuit going on there, and it's a fascinating lawsuit. You can see it at the Tennessee Star, TennesseeStar.com. It claims that the Tennessee State University fired a financial aid director who refused to request federal aid for students lacking proof of a high school degree. This is by our own Tom Pappert, the former director of financial aid at Tennessee State University, filed a lawsuit against the institution on Tuesday, claiming she was fired in August after she refused to request federal financial aid for students who had yet to provide proof they were eligible to enroll at the university. According to the lawsuit, Tanaka Vircher had been a 21-year employee at TSU in 2024 when Tennessee auditors informed her the state was unable to provide evidence that up to 20% of first-year students enrolled at the university graduated high school or obtained an equivalent degree. 20%? I mean, you can't get into college unless you've got a high school diploma or a GED. The U.S. Department of Education Federal Student Aid Office explains those seeking federal student aid must prove themselves, quote, qualified to obtain a college degree by obtaining a high school diploma or state-recognized equivalent, such as the GED certificate. That's General Education Development Certificate. The lawsuit explains Vircher was required to reconcile the cases by obtaining proof of students missing high school degrees before she could submit the data to the federal government. Okay, so, I mean, if you think that's the claim. The claim was high levels of students at TSU didn't have high school diplomas. Let me continue with the story. While the reconciliation process advised by auditors from the state of Tennessee continued, Vircher claims in her lawsuit that she was urged to submit federal student aid applications without proof that students graduated from high school or obtained a GED during 2 meetings held in August. After explaining the situation to a consultant advising the university on its financial conditions, the lawsuit claims Vircher was advised the proposed October submission date was too late and pressured to submit the data. It notes TSU stood to lose about $7 million in federal funding if it did not submit the data in a timely fashion. Vircher claims she was first pressured to submit the erroneous data to the federal government in an August 22nd meeting, and again when the subject of cash flow at the university was mentioned in an August 27th meeting. Next day, according to the lawsuit, Tennessee State University notified Ms. Vircher via email that her employment was over and she was not to return to campus. It further alleges the firing happened because, despite highly favorable performance reviews and the university raising her pay just 1 month earlier, the only explanation, the lawsuit says, is that TSU was retaliating against her for her refusal to request government funds for TSU, to which she knew TSU was not entitled. Okay, this is a problem, right? Now, look, if these facts are true, this is a huge scandal for Tennessee State University. And look, we don't know what the facts are, but, you know, I think this is something that needs to be looked into. Of course, you've got the lawsuit going on right now. If it's true, it's stunning. And, you know, Tennessee State University has run into huge problems. In fact, their financial mismanagement has been documented. There's a whole back and forth where Tennessee State University says, well, you know, we should have gotten more money from the state. There's a big lawsuit involved. But I think the bottom line is, financially, it's just not working very well under the current leadership. They also have what their former president, who resigned, they owed her like $1.7 million for I don't know what, but no longer there. They said that's not going to happen. And look, I think this is something to look at. Obviously, we want institutions of higher education who are going to do their job. But, you know, if that job entails submitting false information, as this suit alleges, that's not good. Okay, we have another story, another topic. Our friends at the Tennessee Firearms Association, our good friend John Harris, a terrific attorney who is an expert at Second Amendment law. Here's a story by Caitlin Hausler at TennesseeStar.com. Tennessee Firearms Association joins an amicus brief in support of Smith & Wesson in the U.S. Supreme Court. Now, what's an amicus brief? It's basically somebody who is not a party to a lawsuit, either a defendant or plaintiff, but who has an interest in the outcome of the case. All right, and they're allowed to file an amicus brief, or they make arguments that can be considered by the court in their decision. Here's the story. The Tennessee Firearms Association joined an amicus brief on Tuesday filed in the U.S. Supreme Court in the appeal by Smith & Wesson, that's a gun manufacturer, in the case of Smith & Wesson Brands, Inc. v. Estados Unidos Mexicanos. The case stems from a lawsuit brought by the Mexican government in 2021, in which the government alleged U.S. gun manufacturers should be liable for, quote, aiding and abetting, end quote, gun violence carried out by Mexican drug cartels. Okay, that's crazy. Are you kidding me? While a district court in Massachusetts applied the provisions of the Protection of Lawful Commerce in Arms Act to reject Mexico's claims, the Mexican government appealed to the First Circuit Court of Appeals, which, wait for it, sided with Mexico and reversed the trial court decision. Smith & Wesson then appealed to the Supreme Court. Now, in Tuesday's amicus brief, which the Tennessee Firearms Association and other organizations like the Gun Owners of America joined, they opposed the decision of the First Circuit Court of Appeals, and they asked the Supreme Court to dismiss Mexico's lawsuit. Here's what the argument was. Basically, they said its support of Smith & Wesson stems from the organization's work to, quote, protect the rights of Tennesseans as protected by the Second Amendment from government infringements and abuses such as reflected in the First Circuit's opinion and the attempts by Mexico, probably in cooperation with gun control advocates in the U.S., to destroy the Second Amendment supply chain. There you go. Now, this case, the oral arguments are scheduled for March 4th. And we'll see. Here's what the issue is. And whenever you looking at a story about a lawsuit, you always look for the part of the lawsuit where the word whether is. Whether or not. That's the issue of the case. So here are the two issues of this case. One, whether the production and sale of firearms in the United States is the proximate cause of alleged injuries to the Mexican government stemming from violence committed by drug cartels in Mexico. That's issue number one. Issue number two, whether the production and sale of firearms in the United States amounts to, quote, aiding and abetting illegal firearms trafficking because, wait for it, firearms companies allegedly know that some of their products are unlawfully trafficked. Are you kidding me? I mean, this is why they pay people to come up with this stuff. And it's just insane. What a ridiculous set of issues. I mean, this should be 9-0, right? Except it won't be. It's going to be 6-3. It's going to be 6-3. And you're going to have Kagan Sotomayor and Ketanji Brown Jackson. Doesn't matter. They're just going to, that's where they're going to vote against. They're going to vote for Mexico because they don't, I mean, we're stuck with this. And you would hope, I think that the dialogue in the Supreme Court is now, and we saw it in the transgender case where the oral arguments were heard yesterday. What is the dialogue in the Supreme Court now? You have basically 6 justices who pay attention to the Constitution and 3 who are just left-wing ideologues who are not paying attention at all to the Constitution. And even, I got to say this, even for, if you look at the 3, Sotomayor and Ketanji Brown Jackson, who are, let's be honest, intellectually laughable. And then you've got Justice Kagan, former dean of Harvard Law School, who is not intellectually laughable. But if you look at her recent questioning, not so good. In fact, she seems to be in line with, Sotomayor and Ketanji Brown Jackson. Now, look, this is how our system works. And we're stuck with these 3 for a period of time. Sotomayor will probably retire sometime, but she's going to try to stick around beyond Trump's term right now. I don't know. She's 70 years old. She's not in the best of health, so we'll see. Anyways, that's what's going on in Tennessee right now. And we'll be back with News Potpourri after this. I'm Michael Patrick Leahy.
Carmichael, CEO of Soul Tea, a supplement to help you have a healthier heart and stronger cardiovascular system. At Soul Tea, we regularly get emails from our customers telling us how Soul Tea has helped them. Like this one from Kelly. Hello, I'm 58 years old and have had high cholesterol for years. I wanted to stay away from prescription drugs. My husband and I have been using Soul Tea for about 13 months. My results have been amazing. My cholesterol levels went from 291 to 129. I am so impressed with Soul Tea and want to thank you. Now, in my own case, my bad cholesterol dropped from 130 to 89, and that was 20 years ago. I'm 75 years old and I take 0 prescription drugs. To get a great deal on Soul Tea, please go to GodzillaHeart.com, and when you check out, use the code Godzilla to get our best deal, which is 50% off your first shipment and then 3 bottles for the price of 2 thereafter. You don't have to live with a broken heart.
Do you suffer from
Try
declining
Soul Tea
bone and
today.
joint health? Hi, it's Tina with the John Fredericks Media Network. And when I heard about our company's Women's Challenge, I jumped on the opportunity to test this amazing supplement that's already restoring my bone density, soothing my joint pain, and helping me regain lost mobility. I've experienced so many benefits in such a short time with Native Path Collagen Peptides because they support my bones and joints, boost my metabolism, and unleash the most radiant skin and hair since my 20s. In just 2 weeks, my knee stiffness is gone, and I'm already hitting the gym more aggressively. And I get so many compliments on my glowy skin and shiny hair. Native Path Collagen Peptides are so easy to take. They're tasteless, odorless, and mix great with my morning coffee. Read thousands of 5-star reviews at getnativepath.com/Godzilla. Level up your self-care with Native Path Collagen Peptides. Try it risk-free for as low as $21 today. And get free shipping at getnativepath.com/Godzilla.
In 2008, the amount of concentrated time people could spend on a task without becoming distracted was 12 seconds. 5 years later, it was only 8 seconds, 1 second less than a goldfish. If you're often distracted or have trouble recalling information, you're likely to fall behind in the demanding, fast-paced 21st century. In other words, brain performance is more critical now than ever. Boost your brain power with Healthy Cell's Focus Plus Recall. Science-backed nootropics to help you sharpen focus, concentrate longer, enhance recall, improve mental speed, learn rapidly, and be more alert. It's a pill-free brain supplement made with maximum absorption ingestible gel technology, designed to feed your brain at the cellular level. Take it for a test drive. Go to healthycell.com and use code GODZILLA for 20% off your first order of Focus Plus Recall. That's healthycell.com, code GODZILLA for 20% off.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
And welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Well, folks, it's that time of day again. It's time for News Potpourri. I still love that schmaltzy music. We got to get, Pat Sajak. Pat, we got to get you in here. Because, game show music like that requires a high level of support, and I think Pat could be here. Pat, apparently, I don't know what he's doing right now. He's not doing Wheel of Fortune. Come on, we're going to reach out to Pat and have him join us for a News Potpourri segment pretty soon. I think that'd be a lot of fun. Okay, News Potpourri, this is a portion of the program where we talk about those stories that are of note, don't necessarily merit a full segment, and have a touch of irony. Well, the hunters have become the hunted. Here's a story from the Washington Examiner. Department of Justice briefs House GOP on internal inquiry into Jack Smith misconduct allegations. This is exclusive to the Washington Examiner. The Department of Justice recently briefed the House Judiciary Committee about an internal investigation it had opened into special counsel Jack Smith's office, according to committee chairman Jim Jordan. Jack Smith, of course, is the one who is doing these political investigations of Donald Trump. Raided Mar-a-Lago looking for some documents, and then is doing the Jason. They've all blown up, and they're going to end. And Jack Smith is about to get fired if he sticks around. We don't know if he will or he won't. And by the way, his appointment was probably not legal because he wasn't at the time confirmed by Congress. Okay. Jordan wrote a letter Wednesday that to Jeff Ragsdale, the DOJ Office of Professional Responsibility official who gave the briefing. Judge Jordan said he wasn't satisfied with everything that came out on that. Now, what we don't know is what the report was, what the reported misconduct was. We don't know exactly what that is, but we're obviously interested in finding out more details about that. Oh, hey, here's one. This is terrific. Senator Marsha Blackburn. Senator Marsha Blackburn is going to be meeting this afternoon with Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy to talk about the Department of Government Efficiency. And Marsha has said, Senator Blackburn has said, that she will pass legislation to implement the elements of the recommendations of Department of Government Efficiency more quickly. I think that is absolutely fantastic. And so we'll see how that all plays out. But look, I can't help but smile at this. Here's another report that came out just recently. We saw Elon Musk tweeted this out. Only 6% of federal employees are in the office 40 hours a week. 6%. Yikes. I keep thinking of that movie Office Space, right? Which is like one of my all-time favorites. It had where the two office workers, it's about some office workers who try to steal some money by changing the software of a company, and where the company's going through all sorts of changes, and they're going to get rid of some people that aren't producing, and they have these two efficiency experts walk in, and everybody's got to go into a room, right? What exactly is it you do here? And they don't have any good answers on that. Now, Elon Musk, I told you about I've read the book, Walter Isaacson's biography of Elon Musk. That's what Elon Musk did when he took over Twitter. He had 500 engineers that had to meet with him in person, and each of them had 5 minutes. Think of that. 5 minutes, 1,200. I don't know exactly how long it takes to do that, but 5 minutes, you get to you can do in an hour. You can do 12 people. How many hours was that? 12 times. He did it over a full day. I guess maybe 12 times 24. That'd be 240. So maybe it was less than 500. Okay, 5 minutes. Tell me what you do and why I should keep you. Boom, go. Can you imagine? Because back in my misguided youth, I worked for the federal government for a year and a half between, it would have been, March of 78 and August of 79. I was employee of the EPA, budget guy. I can tell you, way back then, if you'd gone in and asked somebody, well, what do you do? What exactly do you do here? You wouldn't have gotten a lot of good answers because a lot of them don't do anything. And it's like, that was a long time ago. It is far worse now. I think it'd just be too much fun. Too much fun. There is a report also. This is interesting. I'm not sure exactly. Politico is claiming that Ron DeSantis wants the Secretary of Defense job. He hasn't denied it. Look, his team is probably leaking all this stuff. And Pete Hegseth has been nominated. There's been some questions about his personal behavior, but it's all anonymous leaks. And the one thing that's out there, he's been totally exonerated on it. So, I say, Pete, buddy, stick in there. Don't let him force a vote. And if Joni Ernst, the senator from Iowa, wants to be Secretary of Defense, that's what the report is trying to bring you down. Don't put up with it. Stay in there, force a vote. Now, Politico is claiming Ron DeSantis wants to be Secretary of Defense. Look, I think he'd be fine, but I understand he from Trump's perspective, stick with Hegseth. That's what you want. You want a junior officer that's been in combat, that can tell the big dogs, no, we're not going to do it that way. Hegseth, despite the fact that he's got some of these personal things in his background, just stick around. Stick around. Don't abandon him. Because guess what will happen? If, Gates was nominated, he's been pushed out. He's not going for as Attorney General. Hegseth, right, if they push him out, they're going to go after RFK, and then they're going to go after Tulsi Gabbard. Don't do it. Don't have Pete withdraw. Pete, stick in there. And even if I think you'll win, maybe it's 50-50, and J.D. Vance puts you over the top. That's our show for today. Tomorrow, hey, Attorney General Jonathan Skrmetti, and I'll be guest hosting the John Fredericks program for the first 2 hours. So it's going to be a long radio day for me, but I love radio. Back tomorrow morning. I hope you have a great day. Thanks for joining us. This is Michael Patrick Leahy. I want to say a word about my good friend Dustin Damon. Dustin is the best handyman in Middle Tennessee. Call Dustin today at 724-683-4400. That's 724-683-4400 if you have a job around the house that you just haven't gotten around to. If you're busy like me, you just may not have the time to fix that broken mailbox, repair the back porch, or get that old light fixture back to working properly. Do what I did. Call Dustin Damon today at 724-683-4400, and he will bring his truck and tools to your house and get that job done lickety-split. Dustin's main service area is Williamson County and the southern part of Davidson County. So call Dustin Damon, the best handyman in Middle Tennessee today, at 724-683-4400. Tell him you heard about him on the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. The Chief Team reminds listeners here that more and more veterans will be returning home over the next few years, and many are local. These heroes have elite military training and valuable professional skills, but they also need jobs too. That's why the Chief Team is encouraging all local businesses. Let's make it the year we hire smart and hire veterans. That's from the Chief Team, where they say service isn't just a courtesy, it's a commitment. For more information, call 931-444-3572. That's 931-444-3572 for the Chief Team in Clarksville.
The Black preaching tradition is deeply connected to gospel music.
PBS presents a new series hosted by Henry Louis Gates Jr., Gospel.
Our singers preach and our preachers sing.
Gospel is a prayer. It is our heart's cry to God in lyrics and song.
You feel it deep down in your soul.
Gospel. Streaming now on the PBS app.